Hello YouTube! Today we're going to show you how not to build a Mockman as your first Transcendence hero. There are guides out there that recommend Mockman as a powerful hero under certain circumstances, but if you fail to fulfill those circumstances, your account's going to suck. Like, real bad. So today I have for you VIP 6 level 195 account belonging to Zeki. And as Zeki said, I have no idea what to do, I'm stuck in the same place, tried to make Mockman work, but it failed. Damn right it did. This guy's got 4 billion gold, 5,000 gems, and right here, a Tree of Origin 5 Mockman. So you might think, ooh, Tree of Origin 5, does that mean he did the Glory Challenge? Absolutely. He got himself a Tree of Origin 3 hero, went and did that in 3 different factions, got all of the stuff needed, and now has a Tree of Origin 5 Mockman, which on its own wouldn't be an issue. However, you can already see a problem. The only tenant for the Mockman is an Eloise. There's no Onkiramaru. There's no additional Mockman. There's no Forcus, and there's definitely no Saja. Now you might think, surely that's an easy fix, right? We just go in, find some Saja copies, swap the Holmes Young to a Saja. Maybe. Regress your Seahu, then go ahead and build the other heroes we need. Not a bad idea. However, if you look here, we only have 20 soul symbols. And also, I would love it if we saved those soul symbols for when we finally are at a position where we can go and do the full bottom row of the Glory Challenge, because that's going to be a huge spike in progress. And to do that, we need 10 soul symbols to regress the Mockman in the first place, and then an additional 30 to do the whole bottom row. So we need twice as many soul symbols as we have right now. So, bit of a problem. So I think this account has 2 options, which is bite the bullet and just say, oh, screw it, MK, I'm not going to follow your advice. I'm just going to go ahead and regress the heroes anyway and just build the tenants so I can make at least some progress. I mean, that's fair. If you go ahead and look, it's not too terrible. We're on 4 million Crystals of Transcendence, so we're close to a second one. That's hopefully going to be a Lord of Fear Aspen. I can see that working. However, that's not the only reason this Mockman's bad. This Mockman suffers from a huge lack of investment, not just when it comes to tenants, but when it comes to sublimation. We have no chests here at all, and when it comes to the sublimation, it's just a double upgraded active skill. This is a bad Mockman. Mockman is not recommended for early budget players, or even free-to-play players. Unless you're fortunate enough to have a ton of sublimation chests because you've been an absolute Giga Chad who has absolutely focused their resources into events that give sublimations as rewards. On this particular account, though, we have a single Melon's chest worth of sublimation, which ideally would be 2 to get that full active skill, and we also want light slashing. The bare minimum is to have light slashing upgraded as well. Ideally, you'd have 3 upgrades in resolute swordsmanship, not noble upgrading it, because actually the noble sublimation is terrible, but that's the ideal Mockman. We lack that, so Mockman lacks power. So when you combine that with the fact we have no tenants, you end up with a really weak 1.5 million attack Mockman that is about as useful as a marzipan dildo. He's pretty crap. If you look at his artifacts as well, his melodic strings is only glittery. It's not even splendid. At least he's got a crit attack stone and resonance gear. So unfortunately, this Mockman, kind of bad. Not very good at all. So many people would recommend to swap this Mockman to a Lord of Fear Aspen. I would agree. Doing that, though, is going to cost you 10 soul symbols. Not a very easy price to pay. On top of that, your second Transcendence hero would then be a Scarlet Queen Halora. The huge advantage to that is that a Lord of Fear Aspen only needs a single active skill when it comes to sublimation. But let's look at his artifacts. Let's see if that's even a good idea. Augustus Magic Ball. Actually pretty good on an Aspen for doing Seal Land, so that's kind of nice, I suppose. Also going to really help you in things like, I suppose, Aspen Dungeon, but really I prefer a Rui Scepter in that, so maybe not. We've got Atlas Cane Glittery. Excellent minimal artifact for doing boss fights. Really, really good. That's going to give you 3% extra damage dealt at the end of each round, so any fight that lasts 15 rounds is going to love that artifact. Is that it? No. A Punisher of a Mortal. Okay. Fair enough. Golden Crown Splendid. very good. But where are your demon bells and where's your Ruyi scepter? He's got one. Oh no. So we have no splendid melodic strings. We have no upgraded Ruyi scepter. So your best artifacts are golden crown and a glittery melodic strings. This is going to be tough. So unfortunately, if you want to make the most out of any Transcendence hero, because you're getting to 2 Transcendence heroes, you'll always need splendid melodic strings, an upgraded Ruyi scepter, and then hopefully demon bells for energy feed. So we're lacking that progress. And wait, he's got one more A and B in the bag. Oh my goodness me! Did you swap artifacts at Anniversary, or did you totally miss that? And if you did swap artifacts, how bad was it beforehand? What have you been doing? You have no sublimation and no artifacts. So what do you do when you play the game? Do you just miss events? So, I'm very confused by this, Izeki. Did you take a break? 1 year break. That's mad. So, this is a 2-year-old account with a 1-year break in the middle. That's a tough thing. That means half of this account's existence he wasn't playing on it. That is unfortunate. That is super duper unfortunate. And I feel that year of progress being missing. So to anyone who is hoping to build a Mockman, hopefully you now understand the prerequisites. You really want to have his tenants down. And ideally, we still start with Eloise. But you need to get Onkiramaru as a tenant for that Eloise, and Saja as well. If you go and take a look at the Celestial Island, you can see there is a beautiful crossover between Mockman and Eloise. Eloise gets Onkiramaru in tenant spot 1, and she gets Saja in tenant spot 2. 2 typically awkward tenant spots. You of course go with Tix and Carry as you normally would, but the fact that you've invested in the Saja and that Onkiramaru means you've given yourself 2 tenants for the Mockman, because tenant spot 2 for Mockman is Onkiramaru and tenant spot 4 is Saja. The Eloise is tenant spot 3, so you already have 3 out of 4 of your tenants for your Mockman. This is great. All of that stuff wasn't done though, so sadly, the account really hasn't set up for a Mockman properly. So the other thing as well, as I said, melodic strings is really good on Mockman. Without that, we're struggling because it's not splendid. We are getting some damage, but not a lot. And on top of that, the lack of sublimation is hugely affecting this Mockman. So if you're a person out there that wants to build a Mockman as a first Transcendence hero, this is how you don't do it. And make sure you've got all that stuff already prepared so that when you decide to do it, you actually get a good Mockman on your account. Progressively over time, he'll grow and become stronger with the Celestial Island and all the bonuses you get from there. And then, of course, as you get a second Transcendence hero, you'll go with a Lord of Fear Aspen. In fact, many people would recommend you shouldn't even consider building any Transcendence hero as a main hero, whether it's Mockman, Lord of Fear Aspen, Sword Flash, whoever, until you have 2 Transcendence heroes at the very bare minimum. For Mockman, you use Lord of Fear Aspen with a Ruyi Scepter to support. If you choose to go with Lord of Fear Aspen, you go with Halora, because Halora gives excellent bonuses, especially from her Abyssal Corruption, and she's a tenant for Lord of Fear Aspen. But Izeki, I don't think can go ahead and do any of that stuff now. I think all he has to do is save soul symbols and wait until he can do the full bottom row down here. Maybe he can consider spending 10 soul symbols to undo the Mockman. That has to happen anyway. But one unfortunate thing about that is then the question of who do we actually swap to? And this might sound crazy, but I think the best possible path, which is still efficient with soul symbols, is to regress the Mockman and build a Scarlet Queen Halora, and then put all your Tree of Origin improvements into Eloise. The Halora simply is a support hero that we won't need to get rid of, and when you get to 2 Transcendence heroes, which is very close to, that's when you build the Lord of Fear Aspen. You still focus on Eloise, and you wait until you get yourself to having a Tree of Origin level 120 Eloise, and then begin your journey to do the full bottom row of the Glory Challenge. That's probably the cleanest way you can still keep this account alive, by using Eloise as a main hero, which will actually be better than Mockman is right now, and then you'll gain more progress and not lose anything because the Halora was a hero you were going to build anyway. And the LFA won't be any good until you have 2 Transcendence heroes. So I think that'll be pretty good. What about a Fiona for shields? That's a terrible idea. We do not want to be building a Fiona because we'll just have to get rid of her later down the line. Not a good strategy to go ahead and build heroes just for the sake of it when they aren't tenants and they aren't going to be useful. If you were maybe building a Sword Flash, though, I suppose you could build Fiona because she is a support hero and a tenant there. But for most accounts, you shouldn't be building a Fiona at all. Does this mean I'm encouraging Scarlet Queen Halora as the first Transcendence hero for all accounts? No. But if you're in a situation where you've realized the hero you've invested in is not great and you want a safe switch out, going for Halora and not Tree of Origin improving her, because you'll have to then use Soul Symbols to get that stuff away, just making her Void 4 is actually really safe, because it means that you then set up for making much more progress in the future when you get to 2 Transcendence heroes by building that Lord of Fear Aspen. So you're going to need to use those 10 Soul Symbols anyway, therefore the Halora is fine. So it's a really nice way to fix an account that still has Eloise and still can make progress with her and feel comfortable. The other problem we have, though, with this Eloise is if he decides to do that, his only tenant for Eloise is Tix. So he's still going to need to get on Kiromaru anyway, because that's a tenant for Lord of Fear Aspen. And Carrie somewhere needs to be built. But you shouldn't build Carrie with the dark food that's in Mockman, because that dark food is going to be used to build Lord of Fear Aspen. The only other way I could see you doing this is actually, yes, use the dark food inside the Mockman to build Carrie, as long as you're prepared to regress Carrie as part of your Tree of Origin level 120 push. Because that's going to not waste soul symbols. And then you use the dark food inside the Carrie to build the Lord of Fear Aspen. Because you actually won't use the Carrie because Scarlet Queen Halora goes in the same tenant spot as Carrie. That might be an interesting way to get Carrie on the account then, if you have the copies. Which means we're only left then with Jara, because inevitably you will build her on the account at some point. Hopefully with that guidance, Azeki can go ahead and make some progress. Hopefully you at home have just found a solution to the problem if you've gone ahead and built a Transcendence hero and realized it wasn't working. And it's just, yeah, really safe to switch into a Lord of Fear Aspen. So if you're interested in that, hopefully you can give it a try on your account, building Halora and then waiting till you get to 2 Transcendence heroes. It's not something we've really discussed before, but it is a really nice solution when you end up with yourself in that kind of problem. It also doesn't waste soul symbols, the single most important resource in the game. Let me know if you give that a try on your account. I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good week and happy idling.